So yesterday, the Colts got their first win in the division. After losing to the Texans and the Jaguars in the first couple of weeks, we come out and we beat the Tennessee Titans. The Titans were 1-3 coming in this game, coming off the bye, so they had an extra rest, and the Colts still found a way to get out of this game alive. Now, if there was a better coach on the other sideline that would actually continue doing what was working, I don't know why the Titans, Brian Callahan, did not continue to run the football with Tony Pollard. Tyjae Spears got hurt, yeah. But every time Tony Pollard touched the football, it was electric. It was explosive for the Titans. I don't know why you don't run the football more. But nonetheless, let's get into the ugly, the bad, and the good, and we'll go from there. We'll start with the bad, start with the ugly. We'll end up on a positive note before the video's over. The ugly, the running defense. The rushing defense is horrendous. We can't get any push. We can't, the Titans' offensive line is all right. It's not great. They have some nice pieces on the O-line, but it's not great. But our defense line has much more talent than allowing, let's see, what Tony Pollard have like 5.5 yards per carry. Tyjae Spears had 4.5. Will Levis, okay, whatever. I don't know why I said that. But Will Levis did run 3 times for 15 yards. It just goes to show we can't get any pass rush. It goes to show that we can't get any pressure on the quarterback. We'll get to that in a minute. But what are we doing? Like, Grover Stewart, where are you? Latu, our first round pick, where are you? And Kwity Paye, who is supposed to be really good against the run. Grover Stewart and Kwity Paye are supposed to be great against the run. They are. They typically are. But it seems like they depend so heavily on Buckner to be in there. And fair. Buckner is an awesome interior defense lineman. He's one of the best in the NFL. He's very good. He gives a presence to this Colts defensive line that no other player on this roster can give to the defense. He forces opposing offensive linemen. He forces opposing offensive coordinators and coaches to say, hey, we have to focus on Buckner. We cannot let Buckner destroy this game. We cannot let him wreck this game. But when Buckner isn't in there, it's simply no issue to double block a guy like Grover Stewart when they want to run the football. Kwity Paye just hasn't been existent. He hasn't been very good. He hasn't been good against the run. I've barely seen him around. Latu is our first round pick. I don't think he's really played well this season so far. He's been pretty disappointing. But in general, our run defense is ugly. It is bad. It is one of the worst in the NFL. If it's not the worst, it's right there. You know what I mean? Tony Pollard, 17 carries, 93 yards, 5.5 yards per carry, and a touchdown. Tyjae Spears had 6 carries for 27 yards and 4.5 yards per carry. Now, one thing I noticed with our defense is when we're tackling, we don't bring the ball carrier right down. So a guy like Tyjae Spears and Tony Pollard, especially Tyjae Spears yesterday. Tyjae Spears, if we brought Tyjae Spears right down when we had contact with him, Tyjae Spears wouldn't have had that good of a day. He wouldn't have had 6 carries for 27 yards. He might have like 10 yards. Because we cannot wrap up. We can't bring the opposing ball carrier down. And Tyjae Spears there's so many runs yesterday where Tyjae Spears just ran through contact for another 4 or 5 yards. We're not bringing them down. No one is anywhere near the line of scrimmage. Our linebackers, no one is near the line of scrimmage when you're at least close to meeting the running back at the line of scrimmage. I don't know where they are. I don't know if they're trying to focus so much on just stopping the pass and do better against the pass that, you can't focus on the run too much. Is that a thing? Because our passing defense sucks. The Titans have some really, have some awesome weapons. They truly do. Now, you look at all these guys, about credit to Red the Rat in our live yesterday. He was saying, look at the receiving core. Imagine that receiving core like 5 years ago. DeAndre Hopkins, even 3. Hopkins, Boyd, you have Calvin Ridley. You have so many weapons. Will Levis has so many weapons. Yeah, he couldn't do anything with it. But were we focusing on the pass more than the run because of all those weapons? Will Levis is not good. We know that. 16-27. 95 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, and I felt like he had guys open all day long. You know, you have weapons like Hopkins, Boyd, and Ridley. You know, we're still trying to figure out Treylon Burks. Doesn't seem like he's very good. He can't really get separation. But nonetheless, it's just very disappointing for the Titans. But us, I mean, our passing defense is so bad. I feel like we're just selling out this to stop the pass and just hoping that someone on the defensive line can make plays against the run, or our linebackers can be Superman. But you know they can't. You know, I think we do have very good linebackers, Zaire Franklin and EJ Speed. I like them both. EJ Speed has had good and bad games. Zaire Franklin has had his good and bad games. Our linebackers talk so much smack in the offseason, and they still talk smack every single week. Yet they're very inconsistent, and they haven't shown up. They've struggled to tackle this season so far. So the running defense is ugly. It is bad. It is horrible. And you look at our schedule coming up the next couple of weeks, man. I mean, play the Dolphins, Devon Achane. I mean, their offensive line isn't very good at all. But look at their weapons. Hill, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, OBJ. OBJ isn't what he was, but it's still OBJ. He's going to get open. Going to run some pretty nasty routes, make some pretty nasty catches. That's OBJ. You play the Texans. Joe Mixon, he's running the ball really well. The Vikings, they run the ball really well. You know, Aaron Jones. Bills, you play James Cook, who has been one of the most electric running backs in the NFL. And the Jets, you play Breece Hall. They're a damn good running team. The Lions, you just saw what they did to the Cowboys. They ran down the Cowboys' throats. And the Titans have not been able to run the football well at times this year. They've been very inconsistent running the football. And if the Titans ran the football more, I'm just saying the Colts are very fortunate that the Titans didn't run the football more. Didn't continue to pound the football. I don't know why Brian Callahan didn't have them continue to pound the football. I really don't. Instead, you kept putting the ball in Will Levis's hands. You know, instead of giving it to Tony Pollard. You know, yeah, because Tyjae Spears got hurt down the line. But why not keep giving it to Tony Pollard and run the football down the Colts' throats? We couldn't stop the run to save our lives. We couldn't stop the run for anything. And now you look at our schedule for the next couple weeks. We have to play, we'll see how the Dolphins games goes. But compared to the next 5 games, their rushing attacks are deadly. You know, you look at the Texans, their passing game is so strong. CJ Stroud is so good at throwing the football. He's so deadly accurate, and they have so many weapons themselves that, we're going to have to sell those to stop the pass. Our defense is so bad. Stopping the run, stopping the pass, but our running defense is one of the worst in the NFL, and I don't think that's going to change. You know, at this point in the season, going into week 7, after week 6, I don't think that this is simply something that won't get better. You know, I don't know where Buckner is, and I don't know if Buckner can help this defensive line and can help this run defense. You know, even when Buckner was in the first 2 weeks, our run defense looked like crap as well. So don't be looking at it and say, hey, Buckner's going to be coming back in a couple of weeks. He'll be coming back soon, so our run defense will be getting better. No, the first 2 weeks when we had Buckner, our run defense was statistically the worst in the NFL. We allowed almost 500 rushing yards in 2 weeks to the Texans and Packers, 2 teams that like to run the football who have really good talented running backs. We played talented running teams all year long. You know what I mean? So, Texans, Vikings, Bills, Jets, Lions. You could argue our next 5 opponents have like a top 10 rushing attack. The Vikings, the Bills, the Jets, and the Lions have top 5 probably. You know what I mean? And then down the stretch, I mean, you have a pretty, it looks like an easier schedule down the stretch. You have the Patriots, Titans, Jaguars, Giants, Broncos. Broncos have been looking like a good team. I don't think our offense is going to be able to do anything against them. But all right, that's not for the run defense. I just going on a big rant on that because our run defense is horrible. If you can't stop the run, then you can't do anything in the NFL. You know what I mean? The running is the easiest thing for an offense to do. If you can't stop the run, it's a surefire sign that you are a very bad football team. It just simply is. Pass rush is another ugly. Our pass rush is so bad that Will Levis could just stand back there all day long, 3, 4, 5 seconds, and still not have any pressure in his face. Where's Latu, our first round pick? Where's Kwity Paye, who was in the 4th or I think he's in his 5th year now, 4th or 5th year. Whatever it is, he was a first-round pick as well. Grover Stewart, he's not more of a pass rushing guy, but I mean, could he at least step up versus the run? Because he's known as being a very good one tech before this season. So far this year, Grover Stewart has not been able to hold his own. Without Buckner, Grover Stewart has been non-existent. And Stewart isn't a pass rusher in the first place, anyways. But even versus the run, Stewart hasn't been very good. Our defensive line, in both aspects that you're supposed to be good in. Your goal is to stop the run, make it difficult for the offensive line to open up big holes, make it difficult for the quarterback to have a lot of time back there. This defensive line can do neither of those. Neither of them at the moment. And there's too much talent on this defensive line for this to be happening. I kind of wonder if this defensive line, if it's a mixture of them just being very disappointing, and on top of it, Gus Bradley, because Gus Bradley has not done a good job with this defense. He's been atrocious himself. The ugly. This one may be a little controversial. I think some of you guys may disagree with me here, but Joe Flacco was very ugly. He was very bad today. Or yesterday. Joe Flacco was horrible. Joe Flacco had an Anthony Richardson-esque day. Besides the fact that he made a couple really nice throws, and he did it when he needed to most, okay? He sent a prayer up to Michael Pittman Jr. and it was answered. Right. But Flacco's overthrowing, underthrowing. I just was not a fan of Flacco yesterday. I thought he looked like dog crap. I thought he looked horrible. So Flacco was ugly, and Flacco has good weapons. Flacco has a good offensive line. And if you give Joe Flacco if you give it an experienced quarterback that has seen it all, his arm is kind of like a ticking time bomb. You saw the first interception was absolutely horrible. He literally threw right to the defender like an Anthony Richardson would. And very fortunate he didn't have more, because one was called back due to a pass interference, and another one was called back to an illegal contact, both in the same drive. So Joe Flacco could have had 3 interceptions this game. Very fortunate that penalties took them away. But, and regardless, our offense is so horizontal with Flacco. Once in a while he has those heaves, but you're out of bounds just to throw it away, or it's you had Alec Pierce wide open on one that was overthrown. There was a couple of sideline throws. I think you had I don't remember who he had. I think it was maybe Alec Pierce once again on the sideline on a corner. It's a difficult layer throw. You have the corner underneath and you have the safety on top. You kind of got to fit it in there perfectly, but it just wasn't even close. Flacco was ugly yesterday. He was bad. He wasn't very good. He made big plays in the big moments when we needed it, but at the end of the day, he did not have a good day. And, we did play a really good defense. Let's be honest. We played a really damn good defense. I think the Titans was a number 1 defense heading into the game yesterday. So, you're going to have those games offensively versus really good defenses, where it's just going to be hard to get things going. But with Joe Flacco, our offense is so predictable. I don't know. I think our offense is better with Anthony Richardson at this point, because of how difficult the run game is to stop, and then it helps the passing game a little bit. Joe Flacco, he provides nothing to the run game. So it makes it that much more difficult to pass the football. It makes it that much more difficult to just to straight up run the football at Trey Sermon or Tyler Goodson, because you have no layers to your offense. You have no explosiveness. So Flacco was ugly. He was bad. Now I'll talk about the bad. It was bad, but it wasn't ugly. I'll say Trey Sermon and Tyler Goodson were bad. Goodson and Sermon both had, Goodson had a big 30-yard run, I think. I don't remember if it was 30, 40. I don't remember how long or how big it was, but it was a 30-yard run from Goodson that we had at one point. Sermon had one 11-yard carry. And if you look at Trey Sermon, I don't know why we kept giving the ball to Trey Sermon. Trey Sermon has not been good. He's more of just like a 4th and goal from the 1 or inches kind of guy you give it to and hope he powers through. Other than that, Sermon has not been able to do anything this year so far. What was it, 18 carries for 30 yards? That's a 1.6 yards per carry. That's not good. That's a trash outing. Horrible. Dog crap outing. So Trey Sermon has not been good. Tyler Goodson, he's a little more explosive. That's not saying much. He's got more speed. He's more of an explosive athlete than Trey Sermon. Sermon's more of just a power guy, a beat you down kind of a guy. He's no Zach Moss for what Zach Moss was for us. Zach Moss hasn't looked good in Cincy. Well, it does. He was good. Maybe if we kept him, Zach Moss would have played good here. I think maybe we should have re-signed him while you have Anthony Richardson on a rookie deal. And we have so much money that went to waste this year too. So that's another very, really annoying aspect to Chris Ballard's general managing and in the way he's building this team. Yeah. We trust our guys. Okay. There's nothing wrong with trusting your guys and giving them, faith, but at the same time, you need to step back and look at what you have. After last season, the moment last year ended, you should have been like, okay, cornerback, secondary is damn near at the top of our list. No, didn't address it. You kept the same old guys from last year, and the secondary is horrible. Don't let Will Levis fool you. This is the second bad. The secondary is horrible. Don't let Will Levis fool you. Will Levis is not a good quarterback. Don't let this defense make you think just because they had this passing defense had a good day against Will Levis that they're good. No. Look at the weapons that Will Levis has. Will Levis doesn't see the field well. He's not accurate. His mechanics suck. And, the secondary is just horrible. The passing defense is still horrible. They still allowed some decent plays in some moments. And you want to know what's crazy? Let's go back to the pass rush and stuff real quick. 2 seconds. The Colts, I felt like they blitzed more in this game than they usually do. I felt like Gus Bradley sent the blitz a little more. Yet, we still got zero pressure on Will Levis all day long. Will Levis still had 4 or 5 seconds worth of football, a slew of great weapons of Ridley, Hopkins, and Boyd, and he still only threw for 95 yards? He threw 1 touchdown, but it was a wide open touchdown at that. You know what I mean? Wide the heck open to that Nikki Westbrook or whatever his name is. I like him. I think he's a nice 4 or 5 receiver guy you want to throw in there once in a while. He got wide open. Because our defense kind of, they bid on that. They bid on that screen, which I think it was Nick Cross that bid on that screen, which left that receiver wide open for Levis to throw to. And you better be able to make that throw. But yeah, secondary's bad. Don't let Will Levis fool you. Don't let this game make you think that our secondary is better. It's not. It's still very bad. Kenny Moore still hasn't been good. Every time Kenny Moore gets paid, he disappears and he plays like crap. And then you have the offensive. The bad is the offensive consistency. This should probably be under ugly, to be honest with you. But I tried to put 3 for the good, the bad, and the ugly. But the offensive consistency, dude, I mean, we have nothing. It's the first drive. This is one of the goods, too. The first drive is always great. And that's part of the good category for this video. The good, the bad, and the ugly. The first drive is always awesome, and that's the drive where you know what plays you're calling right away. These are scripted. First 14, 15 plays on practice, you say, hey, we're running these plays. This is what we were doing. And the Colts do a phenomenal job with that. But after that first drive, the offense goes dormant. It's anemic. They have nothing. They do nothing. You can't run the football. I asked Shane Steichen to run the football more this game. He did. But we couldn't do it. So I apologize, Shane Steichen, in a way, because we couldn't run the damn football. So whatever. But we have no offensive consistency. We'll have one drive where we just go down the field like it's nothing. Having that experience and that, Joe Flacco seeing everything and knowing what he's looking at. But he can't do it from drive to drive. This offense cannot evolve. They cannot adapt as the game goes on. You know what's crazy? The Colts are the highest scoring team in the fourth quarter. But the first 3 quarters, I think they're probably last. They're probably right towards the bottom. But in the fourth quarter, they're the highest scoring team in the NFL. They scored 24 points in the fourth quarter versus the Jaguars. 24 points. Now, it was that takes a little bit of luck. You know, I'm not one to sit here and say luck is a thing. I don't believe in luck. But there are certain aspects that you look at. There are certain things that you look at and you go, okay, they were a little bit fortunate. There was a little bit of luck in that. And just having 2 or 3 big-time plays to Alec Pierce and, you know, playing a really bad team in the Jaguars. You want to have done that against the Titans. If you were down 34-20 versus the Titans, I don't know if the Colts would have scored another touchdown. I don't. If that was the Titans' defense. Thank God it wasn't thank God that their offense is that bad. Thank God that Will Levis is that bad. Because if the Titans' offense was somewhat competent, the Colts would not have won this game because there's no offensive consistency. It definitely does hurt when there's no Anthony Richardson. It's so predictable. I feel like it's run, pass, pass. Run, pass, pass. It's so predictable. It feels like I know what's going on. I know exactly what's going to be called that play. And having Joe Flacco, it makes it that much more difficult to run the football. It just makes the entire offense that much more predictable. With Anthony Richardson, he can make a big play throwing a football, running the football, anything. Any way he can make a big play. Unfortunately, Anthony Richardson can't hit that quick, wide open out route to Josh Downs on a 3rd or 4th down. A big time moment. That's what scares me about AR. You can make the big throws, big plays. And you would think, with Joe Flacco going deep a couple of times the first drive, going deep a couple of times in this game, maybe that would open up the run game a little bit. But it didn't. It did the opposite. It did nothing. It made the defense realize, okay, these guys can't go deep. Joe Flacco's arm cannot handle it no more. Joe Flacco is a ticking time bomb, and we saw it. But the offensive consistency is bad. Like, we have a couple of drives here and there where we look great. We go right down the field. It's not consistent enough. So the good. First drive is always great. We talked about this. To script the plays, even running the football was good the first drive. I think that's when Trey Sermon had his 11-yard run. The first drive. The rest of the game, he had 17 carries. And you take those 11 yards away, he had 19 yards on 17 carries if you take that 11-yard run away. That is how bad. That is almost 1 yard per carry. That is how bad Trey Sermon and they did. The offensive line struggled a little bit in run blocking, but at the same time, these running backs just missed a lot. They missed a lot of open holes. They couldn't make too much happen. When you go from Jonathan Taylor to Goodson and Sermon, I hope Jonathan Taylor comes back pretty soon. I really don't think that it's going to make that much of a difference going down to the stretch in this game. Our schedule is hard. It is very difficult, man. The Dolphins is not an easy game, because look at the weapons they have. Now, they don't have a good defense. The Dolphins have not been a good team so far this year, especially with, mainly without Tua. Even without Tua, or even with Tua, they still, their offensive line is not very good. Defense is not very good, but they have such good weapons. All the Dolphins have to do is throw a couple screens, and Tyreek and Jalen Waddle will have no issue, because we can't tackle either. So you play guys like Tyreek and Waddle. I'm scared. I'm scared to play Tyreek and Waddle. I don't care who the quarterback is. Tyler Huntley is 100 times better than Will Levis. 10 times better than Will Levis. So I'm a little worried about that game. And we can't stop the run. Devon Achane. But hopefully the Dolphins' offense line is so bad to the point where, they can't run the football on us. But that would be pretty bad. I think our defense is just going to be spread out again. Tyreek, Waddle, them trying to run the football. But it's going to hurt. No offensive consistency. How are we going to keep up with that? I don't know if we could. But the Dolphins' defense is very bad. So that could give us a chance in that game. But then you have the Texans, Vikings, Bills, Jets, Lions. And that is a hard stretch. Very difficult stretch. Remember last time we played the Vikings? Yeah. I don't either. Passing weapons. That's good. Our weapons, our receivers step up. They play some good ball, man. Unfortunately, they don't have anyone that can consistently get the ball to them. Josh Downs could get open. He is so good on third downs, and he is so good with those little out routes, and he does that spin. He didn't do that yesterday, but he is so good on those out routes. He is so elusive, and then the reach out for the first down later in the game. That was awesome, and I believe that was the drive that led to our touchdown. Josh Downs is great. Josh Downs is awesome. So happy we have that dude. Alec Pierce has been a huge playmaker so far this year. And Michael Pittman Jr. making big plays when it mattered most yesterday. Let's just look at the receivers' numbers yesterday. You know, Pittman, he had 3 catches for 35 yards and a touchdown. That stat line won't blow you away, but every single one of those catches came on third down on a big time third down conversion. You know what I mean? And you know, he had he's had this back issue. Beginning of the week, we didn't know if he was going to play or not in the next 4 games. We thought he might be put on IR. But no. Pittman looked just fine. He mossed L'Jarius Sneed twice. One on the touchdown. And the second time he caught on L'Jarius Sneed was for the huge third down conversion, which ultimately led us to winning the football game. For a guy that's having some back problems, he looked pretty good. Mo Alley Cox, he had a couple nice catches yesterday. I was pleasantly surprised. I was really happy with his performance yesterday. Very consistent catching the football. Didn't have none of those stupid drops that he typically has. And of course, Josh Downs, the 7 receptions for 66 yards and a touchdown. He had an awesome day yesterday. Drew Ogletree had a big catch too. A.D. Mitchell hasn't really gotten involved too much. I think that's just due to our inconsistent quarterback play, or very poor quarterback play. But then you have Alec Pierce. Didn't have any catches. He was wide open down the field, almost had another huge play, but Flacco just straight up overthrew him. So, like I said, Flacco had an ugly day. And then the last good is the offensive line. This offensive line is one of the best in the NFL. It's one thing I can give Chris Ballard props on if there's anything. The offensive line is great. That has always been one of the Colts' strengths as long as Chris Ballard has been here. Our offensive line has always been a top 5, top 3, or number 1 unit under Chris Ballard. Unfortunately, as you notice, as you see, you could have a great offensive line, but if you don't have anything else, it doesn't matter. It doesn't. You know, it just sucks. It just is what it is. But I know we kind of spent no time on the good, but that's typically how it goes. When something is good, you don't talk about it much. You kind of take it for granted. But when it's bad and it's ugly, there's a lot more to talk about. There's a lot more to go on about. But when stuff is good, there's not as much to talk about. You know what I mean? You know, but yeah, there's the good, the bad, and the ugly. From week 6, Colts, the big divisional win versus the Titans. Somehow the Colts are 3-3. The Colts don't feel like a team that should be 3-3. They don't. But they are. And I don't think this is a playoff team. I don't see the Colts making the playoffs. Especially with the tough schedule that we have coming up. You know, Dolphins, Bills. You know, the Dolphins are, you know, I think that's the easier game we have of the next couple of games. The Bills, the Jets, the Vikings, Lions. We just saw the Lions into the Cowboys. So, yeah, it's going to be a tough stretch, but let's enjoy this while we can. Because it may be a while. If we don't beat the Dolphins, it may be quite some time until we get another win. It may be. This could be a 4 or 5 win team by the end of the year. I'm just saying, don't get your hopes up. You know, it was an ugly win. The Titans are one of the worst teams in the NFL, as I think the Colts are one of them too. But 3-3, we're surviving, barely winning. We've gotten fortunate a couple games, but we're still in it. So we'll take it where we're at right now. So enjoy Victory Monday. Enjoy your week. Have a good week. Have a strong start to your week. And yeah, we'll be back with more Colts content throughout the week. Power rankings, Hot Take Tuesday, our weekly predictions, all that good stuff. So this is the JDW Sports Talk Show. If you enjoy, make sure to like, subscribe, Put that post notification bell on so you don't miss any future videos. I appreciate you guys stopping by. Great place to be, great community. Join that Discord server. Follow us on X. Subscribe here on YouTube. Follow on Instagram. Follow on TikTok. Many different places to follow us and stay in contact. So stick around. Great place to be. We're building a great community here. So appreciate you guys. It's JDW Sports Talk Show. Signing off.